You do not chase what you truly attract, and yet most spend their lives running, not towards something, but away from stillness. Desire whispers first, soft, subtle. Not the loud craving of ambition, but the faint tug beneath your breath. It is not wrong to want. It is wrong to become what you are not, just to catch what was never yours to hold. The man who screams for more reveals how empty he is. But the one who sits in silence, whose hands are not clenched but calm, he receives more than the desperate ever will. Why? Because the universe bends not to noise, but to nature. A tree does not chase the sun. It grows toward it. In stillness it becomes, rooted, certain, unmoved by every passing cloud. Man should be no different. But he is. Loud, anxious, always hungry, and so he loses, because what he wants cannot be caught, only drawn in. Desire is not a call to chase. It is a call to refine, to become the type of soul that what you want wants too. Most ask, how can I get more? A wiser man asks, who must I become? So more arrives uncalled. Desire should not stir the hands but the heart. Let your longing make you cleaner, not quicker. Let it purify, not petrify. He who refines his desires refines his direction, and suddenly what once ran from him turns back, because he is no longer reaching. He is ready, and readiness is rare. That is why the silent attract, while the restless remain, searching. But to attract is not to wait, it is to become. The world mirrors the man, not in what he says, but in what he silently believes. A man who doubts himself draws proof of his doubt from the world. He who believes in his peace invites calm from chaos. Do you want more? Then become more. Not louder, but deeper. Not richer, but fuller. Stand like a mountain and watch the winds shift around you. Root like the oak, and storms will shape you, not shake you. Stillness is not passive, it is power under control, and those who master it become the rare ones. The world chases the flame, but the wise man becomes the spark, and in becoming, he no longer seeks, because what's his finds him. The pull is subtle, so is wisdom, so is strength. You won't find them shouting, but you will feel their gravity. The one who stands inwardly aligned needs no applause, no validation, no rush. He knows nothing real can be stolen, and nothing false is worth chasing. So silence your desperation, still your noise, and refine. Refine until you become what you once ran after. Now, understand this. True magnetism does not shout for attention. It whispers in the quiet moments, in the spaces between words, in the calm beneath the storm. It is the unseen force that draws without grasping, that invites without demanding. To become this magnet, you must cultivate an inner garden, rich with patience, nurtured by self-trust, and watered with quiet confidence. The soil of your soul must be free of weeds, the weeds of doubt, fear, and impatience. Pull them gently, one by one, until only fertile ground remains. Then plant seeds of intention, not of force. Let them take root in your character, in your habits, in your thoughts. Growth is never rushed. It is a slow unfolding, a daily tending, a humble surrender to time. Do not mistake haste for progress. The river carves the canyon not by speed, but by persistence. And so must you. Become the river, steady and sure. Let your desires refine your essence, not your frenzy. For frenzy fractures the soul, but refinement solidifies it. In this solidity, your natural magnetism will emerge. It is not the loud call of desperation, but the quiet invitation of presence. Others will sense it, even if they cannot name it. They will be drawn to your peace, your clarity, your groundedness. This is the unseen power of becoming. It is the power that moves mountains, not by force, but by being the mountain. It is the power that commands respect, not by demand, but by dignity. It is the power that attracts abundance, not by chasing wealth, but by embodying worth. So ask yourself, what must I shed? What must I nurture? What must I embody? And then with steady hands, begin the work of becoming. This work is not always easy. It asks for patience when the world rushes. It asks for faith when doubt whispers. It asks for stillness when chaos calls. But in this work lies your true power, the power to draw to you not what you chase, but what belongs with you. Remember, the sun does not chase the horizon. It rises and sets by its own nature. So must you move in rhythm with your own truth. Not forced, not frantic, but fluid and faithful. In this rhythm, you become a beacon, a light that calls without sound, a presence that fills without crowding. And what you desire will come, not because you demanded it, but because you became worthy of it. Let this be your guide, to refine yourself, to deepen your being, to cultivate the silent power within. For in becoming, you do not just attract your desires, you transform into the truest version of yourself, and that is the greatest gift of all. So continue with quiet courage, with steady heart, with patient hands. Become the stillness that draws the world to you. Become the soul that what you want wants too. The greatest obstacle to your power is your noise. A mind at war with itself cannot win the world, and yet most do not build their mind. They borrow it. They echo the doubts of others, live in the expectations of strangers, and carry the wounds of the past like proof of who they must remain. But you were not born to echo. You were born to create. The world bends not to repetition, but to conviction. And conviction comes not from shouting, but from silence. Not the silence of inaction, but the silence that listens deeply, questions bravely, and believes fully. To build a mind they cannot break, you must stop borrowing. Unplug from the world's opinions. Detach from the news cycle of fear. Forget the voices that only know limitation, and listen instead to your own. Your voice, not loud, but true. It speaks in quiet conviction, in dreams that won't leave you, in truth that return like echoes in your deepest solitude. This voice must be fed with truth, with study, with stillness. You do not build a powerful mind by scrolling. You build it by sitting, by reading, by reflecting, by confronting the places where you are still weak. For weakness is not shameful, only unexamined weakness is. To build a mind they cannot break, look inward, not outward. Most men seek motivation from outside, but what is given from without can be taken. What is forged within is eternal. You must make solitude your teacher. Make discomfort your compass, and in time your thoughts will sharpen, your beliefs will anchor, your presence will deepen, and those who once doubted you will begin to quiet, because they cannot argue with the man who is no longer unsure of himself. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to become undeniable. How? Discipline. Most will try to fix their life while letting their mind roam wild. But the undisciplined mind is the root of every broken path. Control it, or be controlled by it. Start with one thought, one doubt, one fear. Trace it, face it, replace it, again and again, until your mental home is clean. No cobwebs of old stories, no dusty mirrors reflecting shame. Just clarity, just truth, just silence, the fertile ground of power. Remember, you do not need to be loud to be heard. A calm mind speaks louder than chaos. So become calm. Let the world rage. Let others chase. You are not here to run. You are here to root. Root in your values. Root in your vision. Root in your becoming. And the storms will pass, but you will remain. Unshaken, unbent, unbreakable. You do not move freely, not because you lack strength, but because you carry what no longer belongs. Most burdens are not visible. They cling inside, in memory, in regret, in loops of quiet guilt. A man may stand tall, but if his mind bows to yesterday, he will crawl through today. Release is not weakness. It is wisdom. The wisdom to know that you are not your past. Your history is not your home. It is the path you walked, not the place you must live. But still, we grip. We clutch the insults, the failures, the missed chances, and unmet expectations, as if holding them tight proves we cared. Let go. Not because it didn't matter, but because it does. Because your energy is sacred, and it must not be spent feeding ghosts. You will never grow roots while dragging old soil. Most do not carry burdens. Burdens carry them. They wear grief like armor and wonder why love cannot enter. They wear shame like skin and wonder why they feel unworthy. Shedding is sacred. It is the art of returning to your center. A leaf does not fall in anger. It lets go because the season has changed, and so must you. The seasons of your life have shifted. Stop fighting to stay the same. Old stories will whisper. They will say, you'll fall again. You'll fail again. You'll never be enough. But you must whisper back, I already have. I already did, and I'm still here. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. And presence requires space. Space you cannot have while filled with yesterday's weight. Forgiveness is not approval. It is the key that unlocks the door between you and your future. You do not forgive for them. You forgive so you can walk forward. The man who never releases remains bound, not to them, but to the echo of a moment long gone. And the echo gets louder the longer you resist. Let go, not in haste, but in truth. Set down what no longer aligns. The opinion that still haunts you, the failure that still defines you, the identity that no longer fits. These are not your anchors, they are your chains. and the sea of your life is wide, waiting for you to sail, but only the unburdened rise. You must rise, not through denial, but through deeper awareness. Trace the thought. Ask, is this still true? Ask, is this still mine? Most times it is not. Most times it is the voice of a frightened child trapped in a grown man's mind. But you are not a child anymore. You are not helpless anymore. And if you are willing, truly willing, to release the old identity, you will meet the self who is waiting beneath it. He is wiser, quieter, steady, and he walks lighter. He does not rush because he has nothing to prove. He does not chase because he trusts the gravity of truth. And truth always returns. Let this be your work, not to gather more, but to release what is false. In this release, you will feel the breath return to your lungs, the ground return beneath your feet, and you will realize you were never lost, only buried. Buried under what the world gave you and what you chose to keep. But now, you choose again. This time, you choose lightness. Not ease, but clarity. Not comfort, but truth. You choose to walk without disguise, without apology, without yesterday clinging to your step. And you will walk faster, not because you chase, but because you are free. This is the power of shedding. This is the weight of becoming. To let go is not to lose. It is to finally hold what is yours. The man who clings loses. He who fears to let go tightens his grip on illusions. And in the tightening, he strangles his own peace. You were not born with chains, but the world gave you hands and taught you to grasp. Grasp status, grasp approval, grasp comfort, and now you cannot breathe. Freedom is not won by addition, but by subtraction. The one who needs less moves with more power. Letting go is not defeat, it is wisdom. The wise man holds nothing, so he can carry anything. He walks lightly, not because the road is easy, but because his soul is unburdened. You must ask, what have I made too heavy? What am I gripping that's gripping me back? Look close. Every burden you carry has roots in fear. Fear of not having, fear of losing, fear of being seen as less. But what you truly are cannot be taken by loss, and what can be taken was never yours to begin with. The oak tree lets go of its leaves, not in sorrow, but in certainty. It knows what falls, returns. It trusts the cycle, but man resists the seasons. He fights change, and so he suffers. Letting go is an act of faith, not in the world, but in yourself. Faith that you can rebuild. Faith that what is meant for you cannot miss you. So release your grip, loosen the hands of fear, and step forward, not with everything, but with everything you need. You cannot rise while clutching stones. To elevate, you must first empty. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of being understood. Let go of proving your worth. These are not signs of strength, but of struggle. The strong man does not explain. He exemplifies. He does not grasp for praise. He gives himself fully and lets the results speak. And if the world misunderstands, he does not shrink. He knows truth does not need applause to remain true. Do not measure your value by how tightly you can hold. Measure it by how peacefully you can let go. Let go of timelines, of expectations, of needing life to go your way. And instead ask, what does this moment require of me? Not what do I want from it, but what can I bring to it? You are not here to hoard. You are here to serve. And service requires open hands. A clenched fist cannot give. It cannot receive either. Release, and suddenly, life flows back in. The man who holds nothing holds space for everything. He has no fear of loss, for he has already surrendered the illusion of control, and that man moves with grace. Let go of the version of you that needs validation to breathe. Let go of your desperation for answers. Let go of becoming and begin simply being. Be still, be clear, be grounded, and watch what remains. What remains is real, and it was never in your grasp. It was in your presence. This is the way of the quiet ones, the strong ones, the free. They are not attached, but they are connected, not indifferent, but undisturbed. And because of that, they walk through fire and do not burn. They do not chase light. They become it, not through effort, but through emptiness. Not through proving, but through peace. So unclench your spirit, undo your knots, and know, when you finally let go, you finally become. The poorest man is not the one without gold, but the one without goals. A beggar who governs his mind is richer than a king ruled by impulse. Today's world chases wealth, yet it ignores the furnace where wealth is forged. Discipline. Self-discipline is not self-denial. It is self-command. To master yourself is not to limit your life. It is to unlock it. You cannot build a palace on shifting sand. You cannot build success on shifting moods. The man who cannot sit alone in silence will always be a slave to noise. Discipline begins in the unseen, in the quiet choice to delay pleasure, to pause before speaking, to finish before quitting. A disciplined mind walks through chaos without confusion. It knows the path, not because it's easy, but because it was carved through hardship. Every act of discipline is a brick in the temple of a strong character. And character is not formed in moments of ease, but in moments of decision. To rise early when sleep begs you to stay. To finish what you start when comfort calls you away. These are not small things. These are your throne or your tomb. For what is a man who starts everything and finishes nothing? He is a shadow, visible but without form. Desire burns brightly, but discipline keeps the fire useful. Without it, desire consumes. With it, desire constructs. The truly rich are not those with accounts full of money, but those with habits full of mastery. Your habits are your unseen wealth or your unseen poverty. Do you command your cravings, or do they command you? Can you say no to distraction, or does it own you? These questions define your future. The man who cannot conquer his mornings will be conquered by his nights. The man who cannot fast from indulgence will starve his greatness. The man who cannot sit in silence will never hear wisdom speak. Discipline is not a cage. It is the key. The free man is not the one who does what he wants, but the one who chooses what is best. Freedom without discipline is chaos. Order without discipline is slavery. But when discipline is chosen, freedom becomes power. The great ones you admire did not wake up as giants. They woke up and chose the small thing. Again and again and again. They practiced until practice became identity, until delay became joy, until sacrifice became natural, until greatness became quiet. Your potential is not hiding from you. It is locked behind your comforts. And every act of discipline is a key. Not flashy, not loud, but divine. No one will see your discipline at first, but they will see its result. You don't need to show the world your habits. Let the results speak for you. When your life glows with peace and power, the world will ask what you did. And you will smile, because you'll know what you did. You showed up. When no one clapped, you finished. When no one watched, you rose. When comfort said sleep. You let your word be law, and your mind your kingdom. That is wealth. That is success. That is power that cannot be bought. And it lives, not in the world you see, but in the discipline you keep. Man believes he must chase to have. He runs toward wealth, toward status, toward validation. And in the running, he forgets. The more you chase something, the more it runs from you. Desire, misunderstood, becomes torment. Not because wanting is evil, but because the grasping mind forgets stillness. It is not the desire that corrupts. It is the craving, the clutching, the desperation of a man who has not yet made peace with himself. A tree does not chase the sun. It opens, still and firm, and the sun finds it. Likewise, a man rooted in virtue draws fortune as the mountain draws rain, not by demand, but by being what the rain seeks. You attract what you are prepared to hold. No more, no less. The one who begs for success is not ready for it. The one who embodies success never needs to ask. This is why wealth slips from hands that hunger and falls into those that have mastered themselves, because the mind that chases is the mind that leaks. But the mind that reflects is the mind that receives. If you seek love, become love. If you seek freedom, build order. If you seek wealth, become generous, measured, and clear. You must become the harbor and let the tide come to you. But what do most do? They hurl nets into empty seas, drown in effort, and curse the water for being dry. They do not realize the sea is not wrong. The fisherman is impatient. The truly rich man does not appear rich. He appears quiet. For his treasure is internal first. The fool flashes gold but has not earned peace. So he chases applause, validation, and burns his days in pursuit of shadows. Be not like him. Return to the garden of thought. Plant seeds of silence. Cultivate the discipline of restraint. You will find that in stillness, you begin to attract what you once ran after. And not just attract, but sustain. For what is chased is temporary. But what is invited through being, through refinement, through inner order, that remains. You must become magnetic, not through charm, but through inner consistency. A man whose character is aligned, whose intentions are pure, becomes an axis of gravity. The world, seeing no pretense, feels safe around him, and safety draws loyalty. Discipline is the new attraction. Self-control is the new seduction. In a world of panic and noise, stillness is a rare fragrance. And it is this fragrance that attracts kings, queens, and the weary alike. Not because you chase them, but because they felt something true in you. Be the kind of man who no longer begs for more. Be the kind who simply deserves more by becoming more. Chasing is noise. Attracting is silence. And in that silence, the universe speaks. The one who no longer needs anything is the one who can now hold everything because his hands are open, not grasping, not clenched, open and full of strength. This is how you attract all you want without ever chasing. You will never attain what you cannot become. Desire, unshaped by discipline, is like a candle in the wind. It flickers with hope but dies in the storm. Men chase what reflects only what they refuse to build within. They crave applause because they've not applauded their own hidden work. They seek wealth because they ignore the wealth of their own attention. They demand love, but do not know the labor of loving in silence. A man who does not master his attention is owned by distraction, and distraction is the mind's slow suicide. You do not attract what you demand. You attract what you train yourself to hold, and you cannot hold greatness with the hands of complaint. You must be still enough to see where desire hides from truth. For what you truly want will ask you to let go of what you merely crave. The craving shouts, the calling whispers. Only one leads to peace. Most will never know the difference because they are too busy trying to look fulfilled instead of being it. They wear brands they cannot afford, speak words they do not believe, and seek fame from those they would never trust. And all the while, their inner house is in ruins. Their mind a marketplace of secondhand thoughts. Their soul a reflection of what the world approves. But listen closely. You do not become powerful by being noticed. You become powerful by no longer needing to be seen. Stillness is your strategy. Depth is your advantage. Silence is your revolution. Become the kind of man who walks into a room and says nothing, yet shifts everything. Why? Because he does not chase. He radiates. He has not given up desire. He has purified it, refined it, tempered it in the fires of restraint and reason. So when he speaks, his words move mountains, and when he acts, the world bends, not from force, but from reverence. You want to attract what you desire? Then learn to live without it first. Because a man who can be whole without can command from within. And from within is where all real power lives. Not in noise, not in clamor, but in conviction carved in silence. Build your mind like a fortress, not to keep the world out, but to hold truth in. And from that fortress, radiate the life you once begged for, not to impress, but to express who you've quietly become. And when the world finally takes notice, it will not be because you chased them. It will be because you became something when they could not ignore. In the clamor of ambition and the thunder of the world's chase, the rarest voice is silence. Not absence of sound, but absence of inner noise. Most men live in constant dialogue with their doubts. They run, not towards something, but away from stillness. Because in the stillness, the truth waits, and for most, that truth is unbearable. But the man who can sit with his thoughts and not be frightened, who can listen to the echo of his soul without flinching, he becomes immovable. Stillness is not idleness. It is strength, compressed. It is potential, not yet scattered into motion. When you walk into a room full of noise, the loudest presence will not be the one shouting. It will be the one who says nothing, but knows himself. He does not need to defend. He does not need to impress. He does not need to win approval, for he is already whole. Stillness is what remains when ego has been dissolved, when you no longer act to be seen, but act because it is right. A river is noisy when it rushes, but the ocean is still, and yet it holds all the rivers in its depth. The shallow mind reacts. The deep mind reflects. Reaction is cheap. Reflection is rare. You must become a mirror, not of the world's chaos, but of your soul's clarity. Most men are trying to find peace in noise. It will never happen. Peace is not something found. It is something realized. And it begins when you stop seeking and start seeing. Your mind, when still, becomes a magnet, not to the world, but to meaning. A man in stillness draws wisdom without reading, strength without lifting, clarity without asking. He does not try to attract. He becomes attraction. The tree does not beg the birds to land. It just stands, rooted, unmoved, alive. And the birds come. Be still, know who you are, and let the world come to know it too. For when you master stillness, you are no longer a slave to conditions. Circumstance loses its grip. Praise loses its power. Criticism becomes wind, and you the mountain. Let the others be noise. You be depth. Let others chase attention. You command it in silence. Because the man who can walk calmly through chaos will be the one remembered when the noise fades. He is not loud, but his life is thunder. Stillness is not escape. It is engagement, deeper than words, sharper than action. It is not withdrawal from the world. It is mastery over it. Most run from silence because they fear what they might hear inside it. But what they fear is not silence. It is truth. A mind that is noisy is a mind that is reactive. It doesn't build. It battles. It argues. It reacts. It defends. But it never truly knows. Because knowing comes not from noise, but from watching the noise dissolve. Think of the man who cannot sit alone, even for 5 minutes, without a screen, a sound, a scroll. He is not entertained. He is enslaved. And the man who can sit still for an hour, without distraction, without demand, that man rules more than a city. Because stillness is where all control begins. Not control over others, control over self. The self that lashes out, the self that complains, the self that panics under pressure. In stillness, you stop reacting to every whisper in the wind, and you begin choosing what deserves your breath. Stillness makes you dangerous because you're no longer easy to provoke. People will ask, "Why aren't you saying anything?" They'll fear your silence more than your scream, because a silent man who sees clearly is the most unpredictable of all. Stillness is the furnace where weak thoughts are burned and right thoughts are born. It is in stillness that you remember. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are not your followers, your failures, or your fantasies. You are what you choose to be when everything else is silent. Let others rush. You wait. Let others shout. You listen. Let the world be loud. You stay still. Because only the still can hear the whisper that guides the strong, and only the strong can remain still when the world begs them to move. The man who is still is not empty. He is full of direction, of control, of quiet certainty. The world rewards not those who move the most, but those who move with purpose. In stillness, the magnet is formed. It draws, not because it chases, but because it waits. Desperation repels. Presence attracts. Men who are noisy with need are passed by, but those who have found a deeper rhythm, a discipline within the chaos, become like stone, unmoved, unshaken, undeniable. They don't ask for what they want, they become it. Desire should not scream, it should reside, quiet in the chest like a compass under your skin. When your mind is silent, it speaks to the world. When it is still, the world leans in. Most men believe success comes from volume, from pushing, shouting, selling, storming. But the wisest men knew, what you truly want, you will never catch by running. You must become the type of man that draws it in. Stillness is not inaction, it is perfect timing. The tiger does not chase every rustle in the grass. He watches, he studies, and when the moment comes, he moves once and only once. So too must you be, unrushed, unbothered, undistracted. This is not laziness, it is precision. The man who has mastered himself no longer leaks energy. His time is not scattered across whims and wants. He walks with direction, and therefore he arrives. The crowd laughs at him. They say he's too quiet, too still, too different. But in time, they wonder why their lives still tremble, while his life stands, a monument to the unseen laws he obeyed. Do not crave visibility, crave truth. Do not seek followers. Seek foundation. Do not try to impress. Try to remain anchored. You attract what you are. If your soul is cluttered, so will be your results. If your thoughts are erratic, your life will be chaotic. If you wake each day with no anchor, you will be pulled by every tide and reach no shore. Men chase what they don't understand, and they fear what they cannot control. But the man who commands his own mind, who lives by law instead of impulse, becomes impossible to ignore. He speaks little, but when he does, his words weigh. He walks into a room and says nothing, yet people move. Not out of fear, but recognition. They see someone who is not scattered, someone who does not need to pretend. He has earned his gravity. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of direction. A tree stands silent for decades, but it holds storms, shelters life, and grows roots that can break stone. You must become like that. Let your days be rooted. Let your thoughts be intentional. Let your goals be quiet but unshakable. Success is not a noise. It is the echo of consistent stillness. And once you master it, you no longer chase life. Life finds you, because what you seek is seeking the man who is ready. Be still enough to become him. A man may speak of virtue, may write of wisdom, may act with the likeness of righteousness, and yet be hollow within. Integrity is not performance, it is presence. It is the invisible gravity holding every principle in orbit. And when it is gone, even the brightest minds collapse, even the richest hearts rust. You cannot fake what you are, not forever. Eventually, silence reveals your truth. What is done in the quiet echoes in the world, and what you betray in secret will find its way to your front door. Most build a life by strategy, by bending, twisting, adapting, but forget that a crooked path can never lead to a straight destination. Integrity is not rigidity, it is inner alignment. It is saying no when your lesser self says yes. It is walking away from gold if it stains your hands in black. It is being the same man in the dark as you are in the daylight. Not for praise, not for applause, but because the soul cannot breathe in lies. Success built without integrity is a mansion on sand. It will not ask if the storm is coming. It will simply fall when it does. But integrity, it is a root beneath the ground, invisible, unglamorous, but unstoppable. It does not yield to fear. It does not answer to impulse. It does not shift for gain. It lives in quiet defiance of all the noise that tempts you to betray yourself. The world may offer shortcuts. It may reward the clever over the honest. But every shortcut taken in dishonor adds distance between you and peace. Peace cannot be bought. It cannot be earned through applause. It comes only through congruence, the alignment of thought, word, and deed, the unity of the inner man and the outer mask. Integrity will cost you, but it will cost you less than the price of betrayal. Men have conquered cities, but fallen in private rooms. Because without integrity, there is no foundation to stand on. Even in suffering, the man of integrity stands tall. He loses things, not himself. Even in loss, he finds meaning. For his compass was never built by outcome, it was built by principle. Do not admire those who gain the world by fraud. Do not envy men who smile with hollow eyes, for their sleep is troubled, their mind is at war. To be whole, to be still inside, is a gift no wealth can buy. Integrity is not a crown, it is a spine. It holds you upright when storms beat on you. It lets you face your reflection without shame. And when the world changes, when loyalties shift and fortunes fall, the man of integrity does not tremble. Because his strength was never borrowed from others. It came from a silent agreement within, to never betray the truth he knew. So build yourself not on charm, not on cunning, but on character. Let your words match your thoughts, and your actions mirror both. Then you will walk with a calm that needs no defense. The world may not reward you at first, but time does not lie. It exposes the hollow and exalts the whole. Build slow but true. Let storms come. The man of integrity has already won. Man chases the world and finds nothing but dust. He builds towers in the sky only to crumble within, because peace does not reside in what he builds, it resides in what he becomes. All success is borrowed, but character is owned, and the man who masters himself needs no permission to walk tall. You were never meant to beg life for scraps. You were meant to align with its rhythm, to work with it, not chase it. The fruit of your labor is not what you hold, it is who you are when the work is done. Stand in silence, listen longer than you speak, think deeper than you react. And when the storm comes, you will not bend like the reeds. You will stand like the oak, because a still mind is not passive, it is focused. It is fierce without anger, soft without weakness. It sees what others miss. It builds where others break. This is your birthright, not chaos, not panic, but clarity and calm. So walk the quieter road, not because it is easy, but because it is true. And remember, when all the noise fades, when all the applause dies, only your conscience will remain. Make it a worthy companion. You were never chasing success. You were always returning to yourself.